Hey everybody, it's Scott. Thanks for following me in my little knitting adventures on my cool new medieval monster here. I love this thing. It's really fun and I'm starting to actually learn what I'm doing. So a lot of people have been asking for just like a walkthrough of it and how it works and stuff. So I'll give you the quick version. I'll try to stay under 5 minutes. But it came with a whole bunch of pieces, parts. I'll tell you, one of the things that was crazy to get used to is the fact that it takes a lot of weight to make a sock. But anyway, to start it out, you have to use this little basket thing and put it up in here and wrap the yarn around so you can make a starter row. But I have learned a new technique. If you take a scrunchie from the shower and dismantle it, then what you end up with is just this little piece right here, and you can start it also instead with the scrunchie. Just hook it on here and put it around. All these marks that I have on this thing, I put them all on purpose. And I can tell you about all those too. But basically you just stick the scrunchie on here. And I have found that slapping it on there just easy peasy works. But you need to have something to catch the yarn at first. And then you stick the yarn up through one of these holes here. This is for when you're knitting on the heel. It's a tension spring that somebody made for me. Actually, Pete, that's a shout out to Pete for helping with that. You put this all in here, get the yarn going, and then you put it, oops, there you go. And then you put it in through this little hole to get started. Now, I am a noob at this, so I'm leaving out a whole bunch of important stuff and all that, I'm sure. So sock knitters that know better, you know, I'm just showing people that don't know better necessarily. And then what you do is you turn this little crank thing, and basically you got to get it into these little hooks. So we started out by getting it into the hooks. I'm going to pull down on the bottom to give it some weight so that, and you can see when it goes around in a circle, the yarn gets caught in the hooks. It doesn't get caught in all of them right now, but I'll show you about that in a minute. So these first couple rows are kind of ugly. And I'll tell you the theory of it in just a second. Once you get to that second row and we see what is and what is not catching, so I see right here I need to do a little work. I'm just gonna pull this back and push that scrunchie forward a little bit I just need the yarn to get caught in there. So I'm gonna pull down here again and see if I can get the yarn caught in it. Yep. Alright, so now I'm just gonna spin it around a couple times. And as you can see, it's going on all these real nice now. So once you make a bunch of rows, and I'm really oversimplifying it, but once you go around it a bunch of times and it's all caught on here and nice, at that point then you need to cut this off and switch over to some good yarn, because this first stuff that you're using is just junk yarn that you're going to cut off the end. But for purposes of demonstration, I'm just going to leave this on here. But anyway, the whole premise of this machine is that as you go around in a circle, this little bit right here pushes the needle up into it, and then the needle comes back down. So at first it comes up and then it comes back down, and when it comes back down, you can see the whole process right here. It starts with the loop that's on there. That loop will push up, it'll flip this little flap shut, grabbing this yarn right here, the new yarn. And as it grabs this new yarn, and if you watch this needle right here, as soon as it goes down, it's going to push off that other old yarn. And there it goes. It just slipped right off. And now the new one's on there, and the flap is opening when it comes up the other side. So that's the concept. As it goes around in circles, it's grabbing the new yarn and throwing off the old yarn. So Logan, if you can you get it over here so that they can see that going around? That's how you do it. And it just keeps on going around. And I tell you what, once you get weight on there, you got to hook these weights to the bottom of it. I'll be honest, I've found that I like using my hands as weights because, I don't know, I just feel like I like the tension. But you can use the weights or you don't have to. Anyway, you just keep on going around in circles and it starts making a sock. And then there's the whole thing of hemming and things like that. When you're gonna hem the tops, basically you have to take these little inside pieces here. Now we pretend we put new yarn on there, so like if this is my new yarn, I need to take this one and hook it up to this one later on to hem it all together. And basically you go around the whole thing that way, hook it all together, and then you take a spin around, and basically that will lock this one into the new stuff, and that creates your whole seam and your stitch. So that's nice. Once you're ready to start doing, once you start ready to do your heel, because basically you just keep on spinning around and making tube to make the top of the sock, and I just showed you about the hem. Once you're ready to make your heels, what you need to do is, because a heel is just the back half of the needles, you actually take these other needles out of the equation. So I can lift these up, and now what's happening is you'll be able to see over here, these are too high to go into the machine now. So to make the heel, you're gonna go back here, and I'll keep the machine going. I'm still doing this all by hand. Right now I'd be using weights. But you go in here, I'm gonna lift this one, take it out of the equation, and I'm gonna come back. Oh, this is where you use your heel thing too. Hook this up so that when it goes backwards, the tension pulls it back up so that it doesn't have all this loose right here. And I go back and forth to make the heel. I take this one out of the equation, and what I'm doing is I'm making a heel that's gonna round. And that's what all these marks are for, by the way. That's what all these, this is showing me the halfway point and things like that. But then I go back and forth and I make the heel. Whoops, I just skipped those. That's gonna make me lose stitches, so, which is not okay, but I'll show you what that looks like too. If you go down in here, you can see that I've created, right here, you can see that I've created a run, and you can get rid of the runs by taking your tool and scooping up the runs. Like so, I'll grab that one, and then what I would do is I would literally just, like you would do hand crocheting, I would crochet back up to the top there with this to get that in. So I would scoop back and forth in there, but I'm just gonna hook it on for now to get rid of the run. And that's gonna be a little ugly, but that's all right. You're gonna get the point. So you go back and forth to make the heel, and then once you're done making that, you are going to go back to what you were doing before. After you're done doing that, I made another run right there. Luckily, this is just play. But once you're done pulling them down to round the heel in, you want to make the heel round back out. So then you eventually are going to lift these, back up as you're going. Once you get done with that, you just kind of you'll have all of your heel done, and then you push these back down. Then you make what would be the tube for your toe. And you keep on going around in circles. And right now I've got kind of a clustering mess right now, but I should be going the other way. You go around the other way. You make more sock, and then at the end, when you're done with it all, you cut your yarn, and then you make a Kitchener stitch like you normally would. So if I cut this yarn off, and I keep on going, oops, it's gonna let it loose, and pretending that I made something decent there. Your entire good sock would be on the end of this. I would cut the sock off of this junk, and then at the bottom I would Kitchener stitch it, and there it is. Then you have a sock. So here's a couple of the little socks that I've made so far. They look pretty neat, but it comes off of there. That would be hanging there. I would Kitchener the end, and there it is. That's how you use this awesome machine. Have fun.